Hello and welcome to the 30th episode of building a 2D game in Flutter. Um, we kind of got our server and client connected in the last episode, and today we'll just continue to do that. We'll basically make our client obey the server, so to speak. So the server will basically be holding the source of truth when it comes to the game state, and the clients will basically just update themselves to that game state. Everything will be determined on the server. Did someone, get hit by a bullet or not? And what's the health? Where is every player, and so on. So that will be basically done on the server and dictated to the clients. Now, one thing I wanted to do beforehand was to show something that I kind of evaluated. So last time we basically ended up having to change the way we basically stream back and forth. So one thing I want to see is if I'm actually online, and I am. Okay, good. So basically, we couldn't have a method that kind of looks like a bidirectional stream. We actually had to have a way of saying, okay, well, we have to basically have a method with which the client requests the game state stream, and have another method with which the client basically feeds in its stream of the keys, right? Or the player inputs. So I wanted to just make sure that that doesn't cause more connections to be created. And so what I did, I took our spike, right? And the spike that we had before, it basically had that method with the bidirectional stream. So as long as we don't create any more connections, we'd be fine. But actually what I found is no matter what we do in the game, there will also always only be one connection. Basically two sockets going on. And how can we verify that? So what we can do, we can actually use LSOF. So LSOF, I think, stands for ls open files, right? So we can look at the open files. So what we do is we say, show us all the open files, and this also goes for network connections, right? So we say where the command is Dart, and also it's an internet connection, and update this every 2 seconds. So when we launch that, at first we have nothing, right? Because there are no servers running, no clients. Now, if we launch our Spike server, right, we can see now that we have a TCP connection here. It's listening on port 5551. I changed that so we can actually run both servers at the same time. Now what I can do is I will launch a client on that spike. And now, as you can see, I get 2 connections established, right? So I get one, and I'm just going to pause this here real quick. So basically, I got 2 connections going on. One is basically, well, 3 in a way, right? The server's listening on this port, and then I have the client connecting from its port to the server, basically sending data to the server. And then there's another connection where the server is connecting to the client, basically sending the game state to the client. So, as we'll see, it also is used for any kind of method call I want to make. So even if I make more method calls, there will be no more connections. So now if I keep that open, and we can see sometimes the client actually disconnects. So right now there's no client, and then when it reconnects, we have the same going on. So now we can do the same thing for our server that we put into the game. So now if we add that server, now we have, and I'm just going to kill this over here, and I'm going to kill that over there. So now I basically just have one server, and you can see it says HTTP alt. That's just a synonym for port 8080. So the server is listening on port 8080. Now I'm going to launch one client over here, and now we can see we got the same thing. I'm going to stop this. We got the server listening, and then we got a connection from the server to the client. Basically, that's one way, and then we got a connection from the client to the server. That's the other way. So that's how we have our bidirectional socket. It's actually 2 TCP sockets under the hood, but it behaves like when it comes to how we look at it, it behaves like a bidirectional stream, right? Where we can basically send messages back and forth and have events going on. And basically, that's a good thing. So we know that no matter how we implement this, we'll always have the same amount of connections, because we didn't want to create more connections per client just because we kind of had to change the interface of our server and client. Okay, so now that we have that figured out, we can go back to our project and keep working on it. So let's recap real quick where we were. We had basically the server supported multiple games, right? We could create a game when the client wants to play. We basically say, okay, I'm going to get a game that already exists, or I'm going to create a new one. And then we're sending that information to the client. And then we're trying to start the game loop, basically, right? But if there are not enough clients yet, if there are not enough players, we said, okay, it doesn't make sense to start it yet, so we're waiting. And then basically it schedules a tick. And that was pretty much all that was going on. That every tick, we basically, for now, we just changed the angle, right? And then we need to put controllers here, and then we added that to the game state. Obviously, what we might do in the future is to not send an updated game state on each tick. That might just be too often, right? That might saturate the client, so we might actually tick more than we actually send packets. But we'll see how we do that. So one thing I want to do, so we had the clients running. Actually, what I'm going to do is so now we're done with this, I'm going to get out of here. We don't, so what I'll do is we'll get out of here as well. And what I want to do is I want to create like a quick way to launch these clients. I'm going out here. Okay, so I want to create a quick way. Oh no, that's not. I want to do virtual split. Okay, I want to do a very quick way to launch. Actually, in this case, we only need 2 clients. So we'll have the server here, and we have a client here, and a client here. The same, right? So because I want to, and in a way, we could probably write a script that does it for us and launches them on the background and so on, but we'll just do it like this real quick. So we have the client here and another client here. So we just have to be jumping around quickly, and we need the client. Okay, but for now, actually, we are mostly interested in the server. So actually the server we can also just launch from here. What I want to do is I want to basically teach the server how to update the game state. So the game state is basically a subset kind of, or at least it will be a subset of the game model. So let's open the game model in another window here. So basically we already said that in our game model, the bullets, the floor tiles and the walls don't change, right? So basically first thing we need to do is actually we need to send the client that information. So when we basically when we have the service, when we create a game, we actually need to do a few more things. So when we create a game state here, we need to tell it what level do we want, right? Because then the game state needs to go ahead and basically create the floor tiles and the walls for that level, right? So let's actually go ahead and put that in here. And the game state is going to have players. Oh no, hold on. So let me no. You're wrong. So this might be, there must be another class, basically a kind of like a game setup, or actually let's call it an arena, right? Because this is going to be the arena where the multiple players will kind of battle it out, right, with their battle UFOs. So if anyone was wondering what BAT UFO stands for, it stands for Battle UFO, because I couldn't come up with a better name, but that's the working title for now. So what we need to do is we need to actually go back to the game service. Game service. service. Okay. So we get a game back. Create a game. But the game is basically, yeah, the game needs to have these things, right? The game needs to know what arena it is in. So let's just create another class here and say arena. And when we create an arena, we need to give it these. Okay, so now what we can do, we can say create an arena from a level, right? So it's a factory method, or let's say from a tile map actually, right? Arena dot from tile map. Okay, and let's just make the spelling consistent. Okay, so now we take a tile map, and then we already had a let me close a few tabs here. We already had something like build game model. I'm trying to remember where that was. So, and we need to do something similar to that. So let's see the models. We had, where did we have that file? Huh. Create. Oh, we called it create. Okay, so we create a model here. But actually, this is pretty much what we need, except that it's already giving us bullets and all these things. So what we'll do, we'll just, for now, we'll copy that. Copy that into here. Well, actually no. So the time, we get a tile map. And this is exactly what this does, right? And it takes a tile size, so right. So basically, we need that. I don't know where we'll put it though. So the game here, we have controllers, helpers. I mean, these are all kind of servers game state things. So maybe we should look where we have the game state. So we have the game loop here. Where do we have the game state? So we may need to create some place where we put all the stuff. So where's that? So we have that in message types. Okay. Call that message types. Game state event. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to make a folder here. I'm just going to call it something like game. Or let's call it server game, because that's all server side. Except obviously that the client will receive it, but that's fine. So the arena. Let's go back to our game arena. Okay. So this one, we're actually going to put in its own file. In a way, it's a message type. So yeah, I don't like, so it's a message type. But we won't worry about it. I mean, some other things go in message type. So let's put that in here. Let's make a dart file arena, and we want to copy the arena in here. Okay, and so we want to create an arena from tile map, and we're basically just going to copy this code for now. And later on, we'll worry about how to create a model later. So let's do that. And obviously the n rows, yes, n rows, and that one will also be a So basically, so those will also put in there. So let's do it this way. And let's say we want to, all of these are required, and like required doesn't really help us much. I hope at some point we can figure out how to make required work on the server as well. Okay, and then we basically have this is what we need. And so when we get our thing, we basically just do all this, except that we already figure out the end rows in this thing right here. It's complaining because we're not returning anything yet from here. Oh, okay, it's complaining. Yes, that's really not very helpful if it's complaining that you can't see anything anymore. But basically, we need to return an arena. That's what it wants, right? So now it's happier, but obviously we still need to figure out. That's fine. So now we have to be really careful. So we don't have a, hold on, but we don't have a player. The players will be part of the game model. Let's just name this time map. Looks like we named it there like this as well. And actually, let's just do that. We need to import. Yeah, so we made a mistake there, and then we changed all our naming to match our misspelling. Not good. But now basically we have in the flowcharts, we are on the map, the walls. Now we can basically return an arena with the floor tiles are the floor tiles, the walls are the walls, the end rows are the end rows, and the end calls and calls. Okay, now what's complaining? What other final field do you want? There's no other final field. Oh, because it needs to be this dot. Okay, so now we can create an arena, and that arena will actually send to the client. Okay. But in order to send it, we need to be able to pack it, and the client needs to be able to unpack it, right? Because we want to save space. Because tile position, obviously, we need to pack, and then we have a list of them. So what we need to do is we need to implement a method called pack. And pack basically will return and so now we're gonna put here. So where do we put our packing stuff? Where do we put packed fractional point, for instance? Well, where's this defined? Packing types. That's in utils. Well, what I'm going to do is actually, since this kind of since this is kind of has, you know, is used right in here, we're just going to put it in here as well. So the packed arena will basically have all these things, except this will be a packed tile position, and this as well. So I'm not sure which one's better to import here. Let's just get one. But what we'll do is we'll make sure we show what we're getting from here. Okay, so the int row and rows, so now basically but hold on, so basically what we may not have to define this. So let's just go to our proto and see what we need to change first. So if we go to our proto, message protos, so basically what will happen now, when the client asks to play, we will actually give it a playing client, and in this playing client, and we already have a to do here, we need to send this. So this will be the packed arena. Okay, so the packed arena has repeated a packed tile position, which are the floor. So you're seeing that actually I don't need to create that class. That class will actually be generated. It's good I stopped doing what I was doing, because otherwise I would have done more work than necessary. Walls, and then we'll have a Uint32 and rows, and obviously this one we can pack actually. So let's pack that. Do we have a? We don't have a packed int yet, do we? We can pack one int. For now, let's not worry about it, because we only sent that once. That would be in rows. So we need to make that 2. And then the same will be in calls. And we'll put a little marker here. May pack those into 1 Uint32 in the future. Right. I mean, no, to save space, right? You don't have to actually put that here. Okay, so we got that. So we actually don't need the packed arena to write it. Now what we should be able to do is, let's go over here, and we just need to generate. I think it's in scripts. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Now we actually should be able to use this. So when we have a method, we should be able to say packed arena pack. Okay. So what does it mean? We need to have the packed floor tiles. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's name it packed equals. So basically we map the floor tiles, map, and we just pack them. All right. And the same we do with the walls. And what else do we need? So we got in rows, and on calls is basically the same. Is there anything else? Packed arena. Nope. Okay, so now we can say return a packed arena where the floor tiles are the packed floor tiles. The packed walls, the walls, packed walls. Sorry, packed walls, and then the end rows is basically what we have. We don't pack those yet, and the end calls is also what we have. All right, and now why is it complaining? There isn't a setter in packed arena. Oh yes, okay, so yes. Remember, we can't easily, we can't easily just like assign it. We actually have to do it like this. We ran into this before. For each, so we need to create our packed arena first. Final packed arena equals, and then we can say packed arena dot floor tiles. Push, and obviously we need to make this a function. So let's be x. That we can do. Add. Yeah. That's what happens if you keep going back and forth between languages. I do TypeScript during the day, and I do game development in Dart at night, so then that gets confusing at times. Okay, so I hope everyone understands what we're doing here. We just basically want to send the entire arena back. So we do that once because we don't want to include floor tiles and walls in every game state. That doesn't make any sense because they don't ever change. We don't have a way to blast away walls. That will probably never happen. And the floor tiles are just there for prettiness, so we don't need to basically change them ever. So then we can return our packed game floor, our packed arena, and then everything is happy. Now we need to do unpack as well. So that would be a factory method, arena.unpack, and that will be from a packed arena. And we always call that data. So let's keep that up. Why is it complaining? Avoid using what? I'm confused. Let's go into our floor tiles, tile position. We have the same thing there. What's going on here? Factory. Looks very similar to me. Okay, I don't understand what's going on, but let's just keep going. So let's get our floor tiles. And that's basically data dot. Okay, something is very confused here. Let me put that on the other side to compare. So somehow it doesn't even recognize the factory name. Factory, there's better factory. And this is arena. Okay, I think we have a typo here somewhere. So we have a factory. Arena from tile map. Oh, we forgot to close it. Looks. Oh no. Let's see. Hold on. It looks very much like it. So let's look at this a little closer. I think we got ourselves in a little pickle here. So this closes that, but I think maybe we're missing something somewhere else as well. Maybe some semicolon. Okay, yeah. So now, okay. So here we're forgetting to return the arena. We need to basically pass it the floor tiles. So we basically had totally forgotten to return, and we also had totally forgotten to close that function. What am I doing right now? I'm just going to keep typing because I think everything will be fine once we're done. Okay, it's still very confused, I think. So at least now we got this figured out. Now we got this method code. But there's still like some weird stuff going on. So let's just fix these errors first. So let's forget about this for now. Oh yes, so we did type this before. It's just that it totally got lost in the mix. But we'll need this code anyways. So we're good. I think maybe that's why I got to we kind of like what we did, we jumped into the middle of our code instead of where we wanted to be. Okay, so what we do is like data floor tiles dot map x dot unpack tile position dot unpack. Actually, we could probably give it like this, tile position dot unpack. That should work. We can't. Yes, it is. It just happens to be a constructor, a factory method. Maybe in that case it would have been better to make it a static method, but that's fine. So the same we'll do for walls. And then the end rows, and we can just use directly from data because we're not packing them yet. And okay. There's still some confusion going on here with. There's still some weird confusion going on. So we need to figure out what's broken in our file. Are we still, why is this still down here? What in the world happened? Okay, now we're much better off. Okay, so we got the arena. We got the arena from tile map. So we can create that. That's basically what's going to happen on the server. Then the server will pack it, will send it to the client will unpack it, and then the client basically knows what to do. Basically now it has part of the game. And I think for this episode, our goal should be, we'll just basically request to play, and then we'll just render the level. We'll just render basically the packed arena, or the arena that we're unpacking. And then we'll go from there. So now let's go back to the game service. So when we have a game, it should have probably the arena as part of things. But it will have a game model, except that it will only send part of the game model. But we don't worry about that, because what we wanted to focus on, as I said, we wanted to make the basically the playing client get that. So let me find my proto. And what we'll do now is here we add packed arena, and we'll call it arena. Okay. And now this is part of the playing client. So that's I mean, it could also be part of the game that the client is playing, but that will be part of actually the events, right? So when the game state gets updated, we have a player model and we have other things in there, but we will not include anymore all this information that was already in the arena, right? The client at that point already knows what the arena is. So then basically what we'll do is first of all, we have to regenerate our code. And so now when the client requests to play, hold on, that doesn't seem right. Oh yes, because we are doing that on the hood. Okay, so then okay, so and we also need to return the arena. So now when we ask for this, the playing client should now have an arena. Okay, so it has arena. So what we can do is, here we printed out the infos from the server, but first of all, also what we can do is here playing with, and we're printing out the playing client. So if we just launch that, it should actually already print out the arena as well. So let's see. Oh, well, first of all, we are not creating an arena yet, right? On the server. So let's go back to the game update service. So when we play, create a game, but we don't ever assign an arena. And so what the client actually needs to tell us is what level the client wants to play when with that play request. So here, where we pass an empty, right, we need to now actually have some sort of message like a play request. And then in there, we need to say like, what level do you want to play? And most likely, since that only happens once, we just pass a string. So string. And so level name. Obviously, if the level doesn't exist, we'll have to do something about that. But for now, we're going to assume everything is happy, because we just want to get this to a working state. If I regenerate now, oh no, that's not what I want to do. I want to regenerate. We should actually have an error here. So yes, we have an error because we're giving an empty request, right? So what you actually need to tell me here is play request, right? And then basically what we can do, we can get the tile map for the level, and then basically create the arena. So final tile map. And so in the levels, we have a bunch of levels here. And then we have a tile map. And so we basically have a way of saying, I want to create a tile map for a level, build, and we give it the level. So to make that a little easier, we can say, let's just say we get tile map, tile map for level, and so we say the level is a string, level name. Obviously, if it doesn't exist, then we have to. So for now, we're going to say that the level needs to exist. So what we're going to have is we're going to have all the level names here. So we're going to have a map. I wonder how you can initialize a map. Gonna look at that a second here. So I want to initialize a map in place when creating it. So dart init map on creation. Okay, key one value. Is that's the real syntax? Let's see. Comma. So what is a level? A level is another string. So we can say that simple is levels dot simple. Is that how it works? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so it needs to be constant. We can make that happen. Okay, let's see. So this is known at compile time, so it can be constant. So, okay, so now we get our levels. So now we're going to say assert that our levels dot contains key level name. Cannot find level, and then we give it the level name. So that's at least like if something goes wrong, we know immediately that's why it went wrong. Level didn't exist or whatever, right? And so otherwise, what we'll do, we just return. We'll say our level is yeah. So we can say build tile map, or well, how do we build one? Okay, tile map to build, tile map to build, and we give it the level of level name, and that one we return. Okay, so now we get the tile map, and what if we want the arena for level? Why don't we just bake that in here as well? Bake arena for level, right? We can always move this later somewhere else, but I'm just trying to keep things simple and all kind of in one place, they belong together. I'm not entirely sure how we'll organize this yet. Yeah, I don't like that actually, because now suddenly the tile map has to know about the server, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So let's just put that here actually. Arena for level, and so we can say the tile map equals tile map. Hold on. no, it was level dot levels. Okay, timer for level. We do the level name, and then we return a new arena from tilemap. There you go, arena from tilemap, and it needs a tilemap, and it needs the tile size, and that's part of our game props, which you also can use in here. Dot tile. I think we have a dot tile size. Okay, cool. So now we can get an arena for the level. If we now go back to our service, we can say the arena equals arena dot arena for level. So maybe we should just like say for level instead of and so basically what we'll do, we say request dot level name. Okay, and then we'll rename this and just for level, because that reads nicer. So now we have our arena, and so basically now we can say dot arena equals arena, except we need to pack it, and it's still not happy. Okay, so now we sent that back, and now we should actually already see that working. Let's launch a client. We actually over here we are ready to do it. All right, empty is from Baba. Updates client play. So we're sending, oh yeah, we need to actually build a request to play. So what we need to do here, we need to give it a level name. And then we'll build a request, a play request. We set the level name to a level name. And let's actually pull this out into a variable. All right, so now we should be better. And now we need to give it the level name. So right now we only have one level, and it's called simple. So we better pass that. And now let's see. We should work better. Okay, cool. So we got our level back. So we got what I'm a little confused. Why is this all saying walls every time? Yeah, it's probably the way that it renders, that it has a toString implemented, which is really weird. But we can see we have different walls at different places, right? And so this actually should work. So now we tested this in the main method. Now we actually need to pull this into our client method. So what we'll do is we'll have a method here to do all this. Init the client, and we'll get the event. So that's not enough, because actually what we need. Okay, we have the playing client. So let's make this a little bit easier and say what is our arena? Okay. And what I want to, I kind of don't know why we need this anywhere outside of here. Well, it needs to have its ID and everything, right? Well, it's better go to the message proto So the playing client has a game ID and the client ID. Actually, it doesn't need to know that because we are handling that. It doesn't ever need to know what game it's in. Or, yeah, so we'll make this private to enforce that, and we'll expose everything that we want the game to know. We'll expose that here. So what's wrong here? Packed arena. What? Why is it still? Okay, so what we'll do actually, that is actually really odd. Actually, it's not odd, but it's I'm a little bit surprised. So what we'll do is when we have the playing client, we will add the arena here. Because I do not want it on every get. I do not want to unpack that, right? I want to unpack that once. So what we can say is the arena is playing client dot arena dot unpack that, and then this one is just a getter for the arena. Okay, now that's all we need to know. Let's make everything that doesn't need to be accessed private. So this is all hidden. So I want to be able to basically return this to our game and not have to worry that something gets accessed that shouldn't be. So request to play should be only called once. Right? What we can do, but I mean, what we can do is like we'll init the client. We do all this stuff, and then we'll just have this one method, and a request to play should never ever be called again. So unfortunately, it has to be. Well, I know, we can make that private. So, and the init method also will be private. And actually, we don't need. Where is it actually called from? So we don't actually need this. Well, actually, let's keep it around, but make it private. And so now we got that, and then basically all the client can do is submit player inputs, and it can get the events out. So this thing here, the event state, game state. No, actually, sorry. This event stream here, we'll assign that to let's see, hold on. Where are we actually? We're returning the stream, returning this. Oh, so this is returning. So we actually. Yes, so this basically will assign instead. Final and I'm doing it this way so I can just say a type annotation and I don't have to figure this out myself. And now all I have to do is make this a field, private field, then I'll create a getter. But here the field goes up, and now all I have to say here, the game state event is this, and I will return a future of void. I will not longer return the stream, because now I can basically give this back to the game, and it then knows all these things that are public it can access. So it's got the arena it can access, it got the game state event it can access, and it can submit player inputs, and that's all it can do, and that's perfectly fine. So the init is now private, and see, now the cool thing is that even though this is private, in the same file I can still access it. So And so now we can basically make a factory method, or we can make this all happen in the constructor. No, we can't, because async happens in there, async stuff. So we need to we create a create method, no pun intended, probably a static one. Okay, yeah. So let's just create a static method that creates one of those, and we need to give it the level name. Right. So basically, we're creating a client. We want to create a plain client that will basically add a sync, and don't need. So these arcs, we're not doing anything with these arcs, right? So just remove them. All right. Okay, then we request to play the level name. We don't get an event stream back anymore. We just await this, and then we return the client. And let's see what else we need to do. Press to play, and we don't listen yet. The listening will happen in a different spot. Okay. So now I can basically simplify all this. And I can say my client create, and I'm going to display a simple level. And then I can say client dot, oh, we'll have to await it. And dot well, here I have still access to the private methods, but outside of this will look much simpler. And so now I got this. So now this should still work. We're just going to make sure that we didn't break anything. Okay, so we got us a little problem there. Client dart. When we're unpacking the arena, it's telling us that okay, so we got the map listed variable is not subset of list tab position. So somewhere, when we're unpacking the arena, we're actually making a mistake. Okay, so what are the floor tiles here? The list of pack tile position. The walls, the same. Oh, that's interesting. This again. You have to do two lists, and we need to. I'm gonna at the beginning of the next episode, I will pull in some analysis options file, and we'll just fix everything we have. I have one that's not quite as pedantic. So basically, you can add analysis options to your Dart project, and then it will basically the compiler will be a little more strict and will hopefully tell you about these things before you run your program. So. But if you use a pedantic version, it complains about all kinds of things that are about style, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So I'm going to use another one. Okay, so now we got, interesting enough, we got two clients going on. Possibly because the server still had that other client going. Right, and then it's just started the game once the second client joined. So nothing should happen, because we don't have enough clients yet. But if I launch another one, now we should get something. Okay, now we get this back. Okay, cool. So we didn't quite get as far as we wanted, but we have the way, an easy method here now to initiate a client with a simple like client create. And basically what we'll do, we'll go now to our main file, and when we initialize the game, instead of like doing this building tile map and all this stuff here, we'll basically ask the server for our arena, and then we'll initialize the game model with that arena and go from there. So that's the next step I want to do. Shouldn't be too difficult, but first of all, we'll add an analysis file here to get our Dart a little bit under control. And I'll get that from another project where I kind of tweaked it to my liking, and so we'll just reset. Make sure to come back for the next episode, which we'll do in a few minutes. And I'll see you then. Thank you for watching.